Call the Airport Authority meeting for Tuesday, August 13th to order. Eric will not be here today. We still have a quorum. Item number 1 is approve the minutes of regular meeting. They were published. Any changes or additions? Hearing none, approved as published. Approve airport vouchers totaling $59,430.76. Entertain a motion for the
So moved.
Second.
move and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the question.
Lynn?
Aye.
Hingham?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Haugen?
Aye. Individual vouchers, A through C. Entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? 3. Hearing none, call for the roll.
Lynn?
Aye.
Hingham?
Aye.
Clark?
Aye.
Haugen?
Aye. I received a request from the Fargo Air Museum for the annual event sponsorship.
We got a communication from Jim Sweeney, chairman of the Fargo Air Museum Board, requesting a $2,500 sponsorship for our annual dinner event, which will be held on September 14th. The amount requested is what we've traditionally contributed to the event.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I encourage anybody to attend that. It is a great event. It's a major fundraiser for the Air Museum. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, number 5. Sean, you want to talk about that?
In your packet, I provided you some information from the Greater Fargo-Moorhead DDC. Last week, Joe Raso came out and went through an annual update with their investors. And the Airport Authority started out a number of years ago contributing $1,500 a year to their cause. And we increased that to $1,650 some years ago. And we're looking, I'm going to suggest that we would increase our pledge, our investment to $5,000 per year for the next 3 years to move forward. They're asking us to contribute a little bit more because of the change in scope of what they're doing. They will be setting up an air service task force as part of Fueling Our Future, which is a combined effort between the EDC and the Chamber. And they've done some good things for us. Joel was here a number of times in our DGS conversations. I believe the information that he prepared and his staff prepared were directly a result of why the DGS increased the wages here at the airport. So I think they've been a good partner for us for many years and will be for many more to come. So I'd suggest a $5,000 contribution through the 2021 investment schedule.
I know that they have helped with our Delta Global Services issue considerably.
I thought their presentation was just great and all the facts that they brought up, and to have a third party and, and say, hey, this is the community, this is what reality is.
Yeah.
I agree.
I'd move we accept the 5,000 as recommended for the next 3-year period. Is it 3 years?
Yes.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Attendance at the Great Lakes Chapter Airports Conference and Workshop in Chicago in October.
This is the largest conference that the Great Lakes Chapter at AAE that we belong to holds each year. It started out many years ago as a conference that was conducted by the Federal Aviation Administration, and airports would come, and then across the country, because of funding and so forth, the FAA and their various regions dropped hosting the conference and decided to partner with chapters from the American Association of Airport Executives to continue the operations and maintenance conference that's held around the country. So I'll be at the conference as president of the Great Lakes Chapter, but we probably work with Henry and Darren to identify 1 to 2 other employees from our maintenance shop. It's a lot of airfield operations folks that do attend this, or maintainers from Henry's level down to even other equipment operators that come and meet with vendors to talk about snow removal, pest control. There's a whole bunch of different things, wildlife hazard management, runway lighting things. There's a whole host of different things that they do talk about. So
Mr. Chairman. I would move we support as a group sending multiple staff to this. It's just the ability to interact with other people from other facilities is obviously positive,
Yes.
and the educational experience is good, so.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
One, Sean,
Yes.
thank you for asking to do this. Many times businesses don't, they just assume. I appreciate that you
Mhm.
ask about the staff.
Oh,
Yeah, and then
yes.
this whole conference is all about the staff, getting them engaged and
That's great.
networking with their peers across the country, and it seems to have worked out really well.
Okay, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Number 7, receive bids and recommendation award for airfield pavement markings project.
Well, we all showed up here at 2 o'clock yesterday and no bids were received. So Jeff, I don't know if you want to explain, you talked to some of the contractors, but
Yeah, I did. So the project was basically to remark all the paint markings on the main runway. And then all the, what are called, there's, you can kind of see them on here, but they're red boxes. They're called surface painted hold signs across the airfield. We didn't get any bids, obviously, and I had talked to, well, last week, we had called all the contractors, or 3 plant holders. There was a company called Farner out of Wisconsin, a Maxwell out of Colorado, and locally here in North Star. We called all of them to see if they were bidding. Farner and Maxwell were kind of on the bubble. North Star said they were going to bid it, so I felt good. And showed up with no bid yesterday. So I called North Star afterwards, and basically they said that they couldn't get a quote on water blasting. So because we required all the old paint markings for water blasting versus sandblasting, because sandblasting causes a mess that you have to clean up every morning prior to getting the runway open for all the aircraft. So that on top of, they mentioned that, it's obviously night work, it's less than appealing, and with all the other work that they have going on, they just decided to pass. So I suspect there's similar case with the other contractors as well. So we'll just have to regroup and rebid it in the spring. So
we will have our Part 139 inspection sometime before the end of the year. And I don't know, Henry, we probably got some painting to do out there, but it won't be in ideal conditions because we wanted to remove the old paint. Put the new paint on top of the old paint, and the brooms and the plows and stuff, it just peels off.
Yeah, it's multiple layers, and it just hasn't been adhering well, the last paint.
So I don't know what the priorities will be, all the hold signs. I don't know if you've got the hold markings.
We're currently pretty much completed all the taxiway centerline markings. We're going to start on the enhanced taxiway centerline markings. But the entire runway itself desperately needs paint.
Like
We
the
could
yeah.
perhaps just paint over what's there, but you're going to still have the same situation.
Yeah.
But right now, there's areas where 50% of the markings are gone. The other percentage is, multiple layers.
Will this affect any of our inspection that's coming up?
Yeah, it will. We were kind of gigged on last year. Just a recommendation, definitely to do something.
So what would the difference in price be for just painting over it and suffering through an?
Painting has been in the range of $25,000-$30,000 the past times I've done it. Granted, it's going to give you some paint out there, but it's not going to last.
Right.
But we definitely need to do something.
it'll be a substantial savings because the cost really is in the time it takes to remove all the old paint.
So maybe we just have North Star come out and do what they can do. Till
Just
freeze up.
repaint what we have and.
Yeah.
Well, we
Just
don't
for
want to
time being.
jeopardize the inspection.
No.
So you look at the aiming points in different areas, I mean, there's a lot of paint out there. I don't know how many gallons we go through, but it's a bunch. Even
Oh, I've
though-
got it documented, it's,
Thousands.
500,000
Do you think,
square feet, something like that, it's a massive amount.
do you think North Star, if they're the only local one, would, if they had longer opportunity to look at water blasting next spring would either find the right equipment or rent the equipment and be better prepared to do it and offer a bid.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah. That's about all we can do right now, so I just have North Star do what they can do. Get it looking nice, but
Mr. Chairman? Sean, is it required that it be put to a bid as it is maintenance? Or
well, what we've done in the past is, in what Henry's talking about, the 25 to 30,000, we send out and get the informal bids within the purchasing policy.
okay.
You know, we can send it out, but we'll probably only get one bid with North Star. Now, we probably won't get a company from western North Dakota to bid at this time, but that's what we can do. So we can sole source it just because of the time frame that we have involved in the upcoming inspections. So
Would
they're
we
busy.
sole source the repainting or the whole process?
Just the repainting.
The repainting.
And what we'll do is this winter or early spring is to get another bid out.
Get
Just the
another bid
same
out, yeah.
process that we went through, and hopefully they can get a water blaster
Yep.
reserved and go to work.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the water blasters aren't available. Or especially for airports.
And we can buy them. They're really, really expensive. Some airports own them, but I don't know what they cost. They're probably $400,000 or $500,000 machines. And it's just it probably wouldn't take off any more paint than the width of this table at one time. So it takes hours.
Very time consuming.
Yeah, it is.
But I agree that sandblasting leaves such a mess that
Right.
you spend more time cleaning up in the morning than you would doing productive work.
And, and you gotta make the most use of your time at night because you only get probably a 5-hour window, depending on when the flights come in.
Jeff, is ice blasting just too, that it's not very,
I guess I don't know.
we've done a lot of ice blasting, but to be honest with you, it's kind of more of a cleaning almost. It'll take paint off depending how the paint is. It's dried ice, so then it just explodes and the only thing that comes off is, and then it just evaporates, so there's no mess. So we've done that in a lot of buildings where they used to sandblast it, and they have a wood ceiling, and for years sand would continue to fall on desks because it's impregnated. But I know the guys that do a lot of it. I could ask them to see if that's even test it out. It might not be abrasive enough.
But then you have to pick up all the paint chips too. So, yeah, that was one of the advantages of water blasting. It removed and sucked it all at the same time.
they actually
Vacuum it up.
We haven't, no.
it vacuums it out.
Very clean and
No wonder.
efficient blasting.
All right. We'll get her handled. You get her handled.
Yeah.
Well, do we need a motion? Let's just,
No, actually.
okay, very good. All right, receive an update on runway 36, Cap 2. Jeff, you're up again.
All right. I handed out 2 sheets here prior to the meeting. One is for weather data. The other one is a user survey. I thought I'd talk a little bit about the weather and then some of the results that we had gotten back from all the individuals that we sent the user survey out to. So I'll start with the weather data on this graph right here. So what we had done is we had taken some data from the TAF, which is a database that the FAA has, and pulled IFR operations off of it for non-hub airports similar to Fargo that do have Cat 2 approaches or special authorization Cat 2 approaches. So you can see on this that Fargo falls right dead center in the middle of all of these. And so all the IFR, AC stands for air carrier, AT is air taxi, GA is obviously general aviation and military. So there are a total of 44,220 IFR operations based on this data at Hector. Of those, 0.63% are Cat 2 IFR scenarios. So, and what's interesting to note on here is Fargo actually far exceeded all the other airports in the number of total IFR operations, basically about a little less than double. So from a weather standpoint, I mean, it's very promising that, you know, there's some justification there for the approach upgrade.
Okay.
Any questions on that?
What's the next step now?
So what we're doing right now is we have, as of today, we have a draft technical memo put together that we're going through and revising and editing that we'll send out to all of you to read and review before we send it off to the FAA. So I just pulled this data from that technical memo to share with all of you here today. So the next thing is that this user survey that we had sent out to, and this one shows a general tenant survey, but we sent it out to all the air carriers, all the air cargo carriers. We've sent it out to Fargo Jet Center, some of the tenants down in the South GA as far as Group 6 goes, Sanford, all that. And I just wanted to highlight some of the more things that I guess stood out to me on this. On question number 3 there, 3.1, the percentage of cancellations due to weather ranged anywhere from unknown to 4%. The unknown answer actually came from UPS. So I guess I found that or excuse me, I think that was FedEx. UPS reported near 0 cancellations. So, and that was for UPS and FedEx mainline, not the feeder aircraft. So there's that. On 6D there, one of the things that we had wanted to inquire with all these groups was the cost of any type of cancellation because it couldn't land due to weather. Hoping to use that as a component for justification and the economic impact. This one actually was, I guess, stood out to me most. Corporate Air said there was no cost, which I found hard to believe. And then, so there was no cost all the way up to $100,000 from Delta. UPS reported an undetermined amount, and I must just assuming that they don't have those costs yet, just because they don't have any historical records of operating here at Fargo. And then FedEx didn't answer the question because they said that information is proprietary.
For corporate air, that would be accurate. They wouldn't have any cost because their operations are paid for by FedEx.
Okay.
So if there's any packages that aren't delivered, FedEx takes the hit, not corporate air.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense. Question 7, there basically we had wanted to ask a question if their aircraft are physically capable of flying the approach as well as their pilots trained to fly the approach. And this one wasn't too surprising, but basically the Delta, FedEx mainline, UPS mainline said they were both equipped with the equipment as well as training. Some of the regional carriers, as far as Endeavor Air, did not have the equipment. Bemidji Air, Corporate Air don't have the equipment. They're not trained. Allegiant does not have the equipment. They actually, Allegiant didn't even fill out a survey. They just said that they aren't legally allowed to fly anything than the current lower. They aren't legally allowed to fly anything lower than the current minimums here at Fargo. So. And then the last question there, number 10, is would your operations increase as a result of this Cat 2 installation? And basically that was a no across the board from everyone. So I guess I didn't find, going, and we'll compile all these surveys and this tech memo, but I didn't, what struck me, I guess, is it didn't seem to come across as any resounding support for this approach upgrade from the users. So I would have thought we had gotten better. We also sent this survey to the, you guys don't have a copy of it here, but we did send a different survey to the air traffic control tower. Let's see here. Air traffic control said the Cat 2 conditions existed 0.9% of the time. Split mix between the usage of 1.8 and runway 3.6. And then, yeah, just a real simple survey form. So, I don't know. Any questions on that? Or?
It just seems like everything is geared to what are you doing now or what have you done, but not much is geared to what about in the future.
Right.
Where are we going? If you look at the technology in aircraft now, UPS and FedEx, they can do Cat 2 with their equipment all day long. And, I'm just
Maybe, was there the ability to make comments like, no, our pilots aren't yet, but we're planning to over the next 2 years or anything?
Yeah, basically, and because we had asked just a general question saying, can you provide us any additional information that, you can share that will give us some justification for this
Yeah,
approach.
okay.
And not a lot of people answer that question, to be very honest with you. So,
I have a question for Jim. How many of the corporate aircraft based here do you think are capable, and or if they're capable, if we had it, the pilots would be trained for?
Few.
You?
Amazingly, some, only if it's a brand new aircraft, right? But
yeah. Unless it was retrofitted.
yeah, which, I mean, it's amazing some of the brand new small airplanes have better avionics than the biggest,
Yeah.
largest.
There's,
stuff that's out there.
I've been not flying now for a while, but isn't it a matter of quite a bit of redundancy in an airplane as well? Two radar altimeters and a couple of different ILS receivers, glide slope receivers. Oh,
The
okay.
details now, but yeah, I would think it'd have a really minimal impact on the aircraft that are based here.
Okay. All right.
So.
Any other questions, statements?
So we'll get this tech memo out to all of you in the next few weeks and provide comment on it, and then we'll send it out.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Number 9 is receive an update on the SRE building project.
Mr. Stroh?
Well, we finally got a fee proposal to you. It's been a little longer, because the FAA requires us to do a fixed fee. Basically, kind of need to have something put together to know what my engineers need to do. So that took a little longer than I would have hoped. But got that to Sean, got a person or a company that does the third-party evaluations. Last time we used somebody local, but everybody local proposed done it, so we couldn't use anybody local. So this person's from Phoenix, where these people are. We're still continuing to work on it. In fact, next week we'll be we have weekly meetings on Thursdays at 9 o'clock, and next week we'll be talking with Henry and Troy and Aaron about kind of specifics of just intricacies with regards to electrical and mechanical things that they need to do operations, like they need compressed air and certain voltage outlets and stuff like that. We can get that rolling. Really still trying to make it work to get in the ground this fall. Jeff mentioned something, in some of their work that they have been doing on the airfield, they had been looking at the pavement to the south of, I believe to the south and maybe all the way around of the existing SRE building that is in reasonably tough shape. So that was part of maybe another project, and we were thinking it might be better to be part of this project. And so again, I think what we're going to do is we're going to do that as an alternate price, so we can, pick and choose things to decide how. We have to kind of dig a pretty decent portion of it to redo the fuel farm and all that kind of stuff, which is, kind of to the south in the middle of the pavement on the south side. So we'll then basically have, I think, 3 alternates. We'll have the addition to the SRE for the service bay. We'll have relighting the SRE building for sure. The bays that they have, the high bays, whether we do the whole thing, I'm not sure yet. We could have an alternate within an alternate kind of, and then this pavement alternate as well, besides the main building addition and pavement. So right now, I'm just kind of guessing at somewhere in the neighborhood, without Jeff's latest alternate, somewhere in the neighborhood of $6 million, maybe about $500,000, up to $5 million for the. We'll get a detailed estimate too once we get a little farther into it, but right now about $5 million for the existing building and or the new building, I should say, and about $1 million for the addition. It skews it because of the pavement that we have to do. So very seldom in our industry in buildings do we do 8-inch concrete. but the equipment that are going out to the airfield is really big and really heavy and needs to have that kind of support. So that's a lot of concrete. So
Right. So costs go up for concrete and rebar both, I suppose.
yeah. So we've been getting pretty favorable bids though lately. So we'll see.
In talking about pavement, I was mentioning to Jeff earlier, there was, for those of you who get the Aviation Quarterly from North Dakota, there is is it a pavement reconditioning index? Or is it one?
Pavement conditions index.
Conditions, yeah. And there was a great article in there, this last magazine, about what happens when you delay redoing pavements and how the cost and taking care of and maintenance. And man, if you read that article, it just you go, ooh, we gotta baby this all the time and take care of it and recondition it, because when you don't, the cost just goes through the roof. So, anyway, totally separate project. Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
So what we need to do today is approve the proposed project scope and fee proposal, subject to an independent fee review, which I'll send off to this company in Arizona to do. It's required by the FAA to do an independent fee review. So he's got an estimated cost of $5,872,000 for a new building, $1 million for an addition and relighting to the existing building. The total fee for all of that work, $509,809. So your approval today will be subject to an independent fee review. And I would expect that would come back favorable, but if it doesn't, we'll be back at the table.
Motion to approve it.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
A comment. Subject to what Terry finds and the concrete or anything surrounding, is there a chance the scope of that expands beyond that?
What do you mean by?
Well, as you dig into it, all of a sudden, okay, there's additions. I mean, has the scope or the surrounding area been looked at in greater detail, such that there's other things that are gonna or could come up?
I wouldn't expect that to happen, because the story behind it was all the pavement that were. So we had included some work in here under the Dakota Drive project that we had just done this summer. And at that time, the SRE building project wasn't in the picture. So then it came into the picture. We took all the work out of that project because we knew that, you know, there was a pinch to expand this building, so we didn't want to spend a lot of money. And so we have done work along all of this and all of this road, and then some up in here. So I mean, the pavement that we're looking at is basically that. So I don't expect it to expand beyond that, but so.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay. Airport construction, well, wait a minute. Airport services discussion, next.
Well, we exchanged some letters with City Hall in terms of our path forward in terms of services that the city is currently providing under our 1969 agreement. And I guess where you'd like to see those discussions to move forward from here, I guess we'd have to see. I did put together a request for proposals for professional employer organization services, or PEO services, which is basically for a company to come in and provide all human resources, all payroll administration, benefits administration, workers' compensation, risk management, and human resource information systems planning. That ad is basically ready to go. If I can, I'm pretty sure I can still convince the forum today to put it in for next Monday and run it for a couple of weeks. Companies that would respond to this would have until Monday, September 16th, after which we would evaluate them. It's a company like Pro Resources, or there's some others around the country that could possibly provide that. So that's one step forward in terms of the decision in terms of continuing with the city or doing everything on our own. Other items that we would need to evaluate are IT, and Darren has put together some information on IT and has had some preliminary conversations with current providers here at the airport. Remember, is it Consolidated Communications, and who's the other IT provider if we sever? S&L Computers that are currently doing IT. We'd have to have some discussions with the finance office downtown to see if it's possible to the current accounting system, to see if HTE is what it's called, is able to separate out a module that the airport can operate on and can just continue on the same accounting program. If that's not possible through licensing and everything else, then we'd probably look at splitting off and doing something on QuickBooks or what have you, and see if everything could be imported to doing that. Let's see what else are we looking at. There's things Stacy's been reviewing, the pension thing, and you know, we currently have an agreement that the city commission back in '69 decided to allow airport employees to be part of that pension system. That doesn't change regardless of the rhetoric. And you know, Stacy's done a lot of review on the city ordinance being silent on the airport authority. Well, it is because we have an agreement that says we are. The '69 agreement's very clear that we are part of that pension. And also the Fargo Park District is part of the same pension, but they're not in this either, so I don't buy into that rhetoric. But having said that, I guess there's a lot of different things to do, getting the federal employment, the EIN,
Correct.
which takes a few minutes online. Transition, you know, with Darren, we'll have to put him to task to do things with, like I say, all the IT, the phone services, and all of those things. So there's a lot of things that would need to be discovered here in a very short period of time, and kind of go from there. But whoever the PEO would be, the professional employer organization, like I say, it's the entire bundle of human resources. It's all employee benefit management and so forth. They do this all over the country. We're a small organization in the big scope of things with 28 full-time employees. There's 4 part-time employees, a couple of seasonal employees that we have in the summer and the winter. They would go out into the market or work with a broker to solicit health insurance quotes from multiple sources. Disability insurance, long-term care insurance. They manage a pension plan or 457 or 401k type operation. We're in a 457 plan as as a political subdivision. Dental, vision, the whole works. So employee training, so it's pretty much a turnkey thing. So this is available in the draft. I did do some updates this morning. And I'll send that back out again for your concurrence to at least move forward with this one step. Darren and I can work with the IT portion of it and get some answers there, hopefully before the next board meeting, and see where we go from here.
Well, as John has stated, it's a lot of moving parts in negotiating this agreement with the city. And we're going to need time, and it's going to take some effort to see who is actually going to give us the best deal. And so we need to have more information to make a good, valued judgment and decision than just sign an agreement with the city that we don't know what the
The biggest thing, there's no doubt health insurance costs will go up. There's no doubt in that, but when you look at the 28 employees and those that are assigned, a lot are under their spouse's plan, some have single coverage. So it's a matter of finding what most of the airports in North Dakota or others do that are providing those services to employees as a high deductible plan, a low deductible plan, and then something that's currently not offered, which is a health savings account. And getting employees educated on a health savings account.
Yeah.
We've had one since it's been offered at Sanford. It's phenomenal. I mean, that's the only way to go, in my opinion, is an HSA. And the employees that sign up with an HSA lowers the cost of the employer. You don't really have any. You do some matching of the contribution, but health savings account are the way of the future as far as I'm concerned.
We love ours too.
Yeah, it's the only way to go. So getting information out on that to the employees to figure that out is there. As far as those employees that are on PERS, nothing changes. Doesn't matter if we write the check or XYZ writes the check or the city. It doesn't matter. PERS stays as is. We are, this is going to take some time through the Airport Association of North Dakota, but between Fargo, Grand Forks, Dickinson, possibly Devil's Lake, those airports, looking at the Airport Association to get together to form an employee group which could maybe qualify for a different health insurance plan. That's something that the Airport Association is looking at. There's a company in South Dakota that manages health plans for associations. It's just a matter of getting your arms around that, trying to figure out, is that a better way forward than what's currently available in the market here locally through Sanford or Medicare or Blue Cross or whoever it might be. So, per your direction today, we can start down that path. The agreement as it sits right now, what I've read, the 3-reading binder that you got at your meeting, it totally ignores the state statute. We'd be in violation of the state statute, the North Dakota Century Code 2-06. There's just no way forward that you can even think about signing something like that, as far as I'm concerned.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
regardless of the outcome of this, it's a good practice to go through every few years anyway to understand the advances in technology, changes in prices, and understand if there's an opportunity, can we take it or stay where we are. It's a good practice regardless.
And there's going to be some upfront cost to IT. We know that. We don't know all the answers on those things. They say the health insurance will likely, because we're a small group, will be more expensive, but it's a matter of how much the airport authority will pick up on behalf of the employees. If they keep continuing to pay the same what they're paying today, even though it goes up, I think that's a decision that we'll have to make, but that certainly would be the intent. I believe the vision and the dental plans that are offered through, at least what we've seen before and presented here before, are lower cost and better than what we're currently getting, but the time will tell. I mean, there'll be some political pushback. I think we can all be prepared for that. There'll be some screaming downtown, but so be it. We're paying $50,000 a year now. They've proposed to more than double that cost through a federal policy that allows the general allocation of costs from the city to come down to the political subdivision as the airport authority. And they're looking to go retroactive back to calendar year 2016 with that. That process is still between the FAA and the finance office with Fargo. There were some things in the auditor's cost allocation that they presented to the FAA that have nothing to do with the airport. Those costs had to be removed and then reallocate the cost again, but that's been pending for 2 or 3 months now. I'm not aware that the finance office has moved forward with the FAA for the answers that they need to finalize the approval, or if you will, of increasing the cost from $50,000 to could be as much as $108,000 or $110,000 a year. So when we look at that additional cost, I don't agree with the general cost allocation model that the feds do allow. I don't know how we can justify the $50,000, let alone going to $108,000 or $110,000, whatever it is that they want to. Joan does the lion's share of the data entry for accounting and for payroll, all the deposits and everything else. It's done here. Everything else is automated. So what we're getting in return is not other. The health insurance is very good. I don't deny that, but in the bigger scheme of things, I think it's time to go out and be an actual airport authority like the other 83 in the state of North Dakota.
Okay, entertain a motion for the request for proposal.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? Call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. One added quick thing before we get on to construction security update. We have a North Dakota National Guard is going to have a groundbreaking ceremony tomorrow at 1 o'clock. I've given board members the program. You can see it. Looks like quite a few dignitaries will be there. Senators, the lieutenant governor will be there, and the adjutant general, the mayor will be there. Be a good event. Although they've already moved considerable amount of dirt on the north side, we're going to break ground tomorrow with a spade, I guess. Kind of anticlimactic, but it should be a great event. I plan on attending, and anybody is welcome. It'll be over at the Readiness Center to start with, on the north side of the airport. The Army.
It's up in this building up here. If you come off of County Road 20 and come down 31st
Yeah.
Street, it's here. FedEx is operating right here. It starts in this building here, correct?
Right. And then they're going to transport everybody over to the ground.
Out to the mud.
Out to the mud. so anyway, so much for that. Okay, Sean, airport construction security update.
Not much. Jeff is finishing the closeouts for Grant 48 and the final paperwork there, so we get the final payments in order from the state and from the feds. And security-wise, we don't have anyone from the TSA here. I don't think there's any updates there. Global entry is taking place right now. I think they have 120 to 130 people that are going through the global entry enrollment this week. It's actually over a 3 or 4 day period up at the customs facility. So that response has been good. I've already requested from the TSA that they try and conduct another TSA pre-check event here at the airport again. Hopefully get that scheduled. I don't know if it'll be before the end of the year or if it'll be right after the first of the year, but we still have a lot of people looking for a TSA pre-check and working on that. So not aware of anything else on that. Some additional miscellaneous items. Let's see, we have an amendment to a ground lease that's more of a housekeeping thing for Andy Scatvold. Andy constructed a hangar in our North General Aviation area. It's not on this picture here, but it's just up here to the north. And when he was originally approved for the ground lease, it was just for the footprint of the hangar, knowing that he was going to have additional pavement to the west for parking vehicles and so forth. So that's all been done, all been determined. We did the legal description update, and we're just ready to sign that. It increases from 6,766 square feet to 14,866 square feet. So it's the entire footprint of his improved area now that is in the ground lease. So that will be done. And after a number of months working with Stacy, Quest Corporation doing business as CenturyLink has the permitted easement for a telecommunications line that was put in for UPS down in the South General Aviation area. We've got that just finalized this week as well, so we'll be signing both of those. Let's see. An update on the information center. So I had a conversation yesterday with Nancy Olson from Lutheran Social Services, who now manages the RSVP program, Retired Senior Volunteer Program. So RSVP had administered the information center here from the mid-1980s in conjunction with the chamber and others that started that up until probably, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, whenever the CVB, without our knowledge, decided to pay these folks. And started to create some problems. But as you all know, we got notice from the Convention Bureau that they're going to discontinue paying those employees down there that they have starting, I believe it's September 1st. So some time ago, reached out to RSVP, and yesterday Nancy called with an update. RSVP had been with the village, and that's who we started with here many years ago. They went to Southeast Cass Human Resources, and then they ended up with it at LSS. It's a federal program, and there's a little stipulation in the federal program that says they cannot provide volunteers to fill positions that have been paid. So how we work through that, I'm not sure. It's kind of a mess now. If we can, and I'll work with Nancy to find out if, the positions were paid by the Convention and Visitors Bureau, not the Airport Authority. So what you're doing is providing volunteers to the Airport Authority, a political subdivision, nonprofit kind of, and see if there's a twist there that you can go through with the federal regulator. Well, it took 2.5 months to get an answer. I don't know how long that'll take. So Darlene Josie's been down there doing well. Darlene is going to stay on. I don't know how many of the others will. I know there's a couple that are going to leave. They're dependent upon the income. But it's a work in progress with RSVP. So hopefully that technicality of the positions weren't paid by this organization, they were actually paid for by the CVB. We'll be able to convince the federal regulator or policymaker that it's okay for them to get involved again. So we'll see where that goes. And we'll officially receive this at the next board meeting, but last night Ide Bailey sent in their financial review of SP Plus. They looked at them over a fiscal year, which encompassed part of the old contract that expired December 31st of 2018, and then the new contract that was effective January 1st to current date. And they went through a number of months of reviews, and they didn't find any discrepancies. So every penny that they found that they earned out there, what was owed to the Airport Authority, was paid. So we'll officially receive that at the next board meeting, but I do have the draft, and there was no discrepancies found. So contrary to other public comments about the parking operation. We have been working with Jeff Darren and I've had a couple of other meetings, an organization that will be before us at the next meeting with a letter of intent to build a pretty large hangar structure, we believe, in an area that we currently don't have any infrastructure. So there's an organization that is proposing to construct a large hangar. Here's Fargo Jet Center right here, but basically out here with a taxi lane that goes out to Bravo Taxiway. It is shown on our master plan. So basically it's this area right here. And we don't have any of this pavement out here. Water and sewer are obviously up through the Fargo Jet Center, would have to be extended. So it's a work in progress, but just be prepared. There will be a request for us to invest a significant amount of money to start our corporate hangar area up here in the North General Aviation area. These are for large hangars. And the reason being is this entity purchased a Global Express aircraft. It's huge. There's no hangar on the field. I don't know if you can get it in one of your hangars, Jim, or not.
Yes, for sure.
So temporarily, they expect delivery of it maybe in the February timeframe or March. And this individual has 3 other aircraft, so 4 aircraft to use it as their corporate base. And they're working through some fuel issues, and hopefully Jim and Jeremy are on top of that to alleviate putting another fuel tank and those things. So but just be prepared for that. More investment in general aviation, which is great, but with the snow removal equipment building, the cargo apron, and now this kind of unexpected, unbudgeted request, we'll see what we can do to fund it. But it's growth in general aviation, but it is going to cost us some money. I don't know where. We haven't really looked through the numbers yet, Jeff, but it could be considerable to get the apron out there for them, the connecting taxiway to Bravo and the utilities. So, but we'll see where that goes. So that'll be at our next meeting if everything stays on track. I believe the city of Fargo will be before us at the next meeting as well to look at a proposed flood protection plan north of the airport. I think they're ready to kind of show us what they're going to do with a large dike or levee that they want to build north of the airport, and we'll see where that goes. So our next meeting, Joan, is on the 27th of August. I don't have anything else. Yes.
Yeah, I have a question about, do you know what they're doing on 19th Avenue?
The
And
city-
the
yeah.
reason why, well, the
Yeah.
reason why I ask is I met with one of the commissioners and I brought it up because it's been such a traffic mess. And he said, you know, I wonder if they're going to do, because they're doing asphalt now, are they going to do a whole new cement?
Yes.
Or is that what they're going to do?
Yeah, it's part of it's the Fargo Street Department that's our Public Works is doing the project. So it's kind of a Band-Aid repair, if you will,
Okay.
until such time that 19th Avenue is reconstructed in 2021, 22, somewhere in there. I'm not sure. It's sometime out.
It's many years down the road.
It
Or
is.
not many, I should say, but
So
3, 4, 5 years down. the
our
road,
chance
from my
of-
understanding.
Getting it elevated?
I think that's being looked at
Okay.
as the state and the city work on those plans. I
Okay.
think they're concentrating on North University now and 19th at some point.
Okay.
I haven't had an update on that for some time, but I can get an update.
I was just
Find out
curious.
where they're at.
I noticed this morning they have not fixed the manhole cover that sticks up as a tank trap down there.
Yeah, it's right in the corner down there. So yeah, they've been working on that for a couple weeks, I guess. I don't know if now with the rain, I don't know if they'll finish it today or tomorrow or. That's all I've got.
That's it. Well, I have one more thing for those of you who did not catch this in the paper on Saturday. Our own airport executive, Sean Doberstein, was in the business section of the forum as being named Airport Professional of the Year by the Great Lakes chapter of AAA&E, and want to congratulate you. And it's
For you.
well deserved. So,
Surprise.
Congratulations.
Yes, congratulations.
and that's, there's about 400 competitors in that for that award. So it's very great. So congratulations, Sean. All right. Meeting is adjourned.